Hello and welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. I am back again with another video. It is very overcast outside today here in Houston, Texas, and randomly the weather, the temperature dropped. It was almost 80 yesterday and now it's like hovering in the mid 50s. Very, very bizarre. But anyway, I'm having to use this kind of harsh overhead light to brighten things up in here because my normal natural light is not doing what it's supposed to do. So hopefully that won't be too distracting. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about The Last Flight by Julie Clark. The Last Flight. And you probably can discern by the title or the cover art that it is in the mystery, thriller, suspense genres of books. So let me give you a quick premise. And this is all basically from the blurb. So you have this woman by the name of Claire. Okay. Well, actually you have two women, but the first woman that we meet in the book, her name is Claire, right? And it's present day with her as we learn that she is married to a well-to-do businessman. And I think I don't know if he's a councilman or not. I forget that part, but I know he has legacy, like money. His mom ran for president. It's just like a bunch of political aspirations and things like that in his family. Well, Claire, marries him. And initially everything was fine. And then as with most men of power are portrayed in most of these books, he became very controlling. And I mean, to the point where it started off as like emotional and verbal abuse to where he started to become physically abusive, wanting her to be like this perfect wife and to basically do exactly what he says, exactly how he says to do it. So they've been married for a while now. I want to say maybe 7 years. Maybe they've been married 7 years. I'll have to look at my notes. But anyway, Claire's had enough. And she knows that realistically, the only way out probably of that marriage is like for her to die because he is just like so concerned with public opinion and perception and all this stuff. So she crafts a plan to leave him. Okay. So she's getting help from a friend that he doesn't know about. And she's one of these women that she does a lot of, like charity and social stuff, really just to make her husband look good. But she goes to these foundations and representing him, doing all of these things in the community. So she had this trip planned. It was either Chicago or Detroit. I don't know why some of these like minutia, these little details are escaping me, but it was either Chicago or Detroit. And she was going to go there, and she had plans for a package to arrive at the hotel that was going to give her her new passport, her new ID, some money, so she could like disappear, right? Well, at the last minute, her husband decides, no, I'm going to go in your place, and I'm going to send you somewhere else. You're going to go to Puerto Rico, and I'm going to go do this thing in Detroit or Chicago, wherever they were. And so, as you guess, that like just throws her into a tailspin because he's going to get that package because it's arriving for her and she's not going to be there to get it. And she does try to call and stop it, but they've already released it to him. So now she goes to the airport, to go to Puerto Rico instead. But the whole time she's just like, I'm doomed. This man's probably going to kill me. I don't know what's going to happen. He's going to beat me. He's going to do something because he knows now that, I'm trying to get away from him. So let's put a pause on Claire's story. So that's where we meet her, and that's where the story goes up until the next main character in the book is introduced. And her name is Eva. So Eva meets Claire. Well, she's actually been eyeing Claire. As we learn like later in the book, she had her eye on her. But she is also trying to get away from a situation. And at this point in the book, we don't know what the situation is. She just approaches Claire and she's very crafty, how she words things and how she says things to make Claire believe it's her idea. Long story short, they both are in tight spots, not really wanting to go to the destination that their tickets have them going to. So they swap tickets. So I guess realistically, once you have checked in through security and they've eyed your ID and stuff, if you switch tickets with somebody, I mean, last time I was on a plane, all they do when you go actually to the gateway, to get on the plane, they just scan your ticket, to make sure that they have a record of you purchasing the ticket and that you can get on that flight. They don't ask for your ID again. So I guess, realistically, something like that could potentially happen. So they decide, switch tickets with Eva now going to Puerto Rico, and Claire is going to go to Oakland. That's where Eva was headed. So they switch, tickets or whatever. And in the most bizarre of circumstances, and this is in the blurb, the flight to Puerto Rico crashes, right? So everybody thought Claire was on that flight. So now she is, presented with a hell of an opportunity to disappear for real because, nobody survived the flight. So they're not like expecting to see her again. So yeah, so the plane crashes, but the author, I feel like, really did a good job there was this one part, I feel like this was a really good move by the author. And I will tell you this, there was one part when Eva, because she's going to Puerto Rico, right? And that's the plane that crashed. But before we learn that the plane crashes, Eva is, on the gangway and she's getting ready to go get on the plane. But I think all the contents of her purse, because she took Claire's purse, I think everything falls out. So she moves to the side to, put everything back in the bag. And there's this one rampant thought that runs through her mind as she looks down at people, coming to board the plane, where she says, I wonder what would happen if I didn't get on this plane, So that's the last we hear of Eva in present day. So, was she on the plane or not? That is another thing that is in the back of your mind. Did she actually get on the plane? Did she actually perish, with the people that unfortunately were on the flight to Puerto Rico? This is where the meat of the story and everything happens. Because remember, I told you, we don't know Eva's story. Who is she running from and why is she trying to get away? Well, as Claire goes to Oakland and tries to slip into Eva's life, things come to light and we start getting past point of view from Eva to learn how she got into the predicament that she was in. So I will tell you, I was all in. I was so invested and I wanted to know, what had Eva done? Why was she, in this situation? And early on, you kind of get, I'm not going to tell y'all, but you kind of get an idea of what Eva was involved in. But you don't really know until towards the end what made her run, so to speak. I was really concerned for Claire because, her husband, he wants all the, I's dotted and the T's crossed. And issue came up where I guess, I don't know how that works when planes crash or anything. I know that they always talk about the black box because they're looking at the last communications and stuff. But I don't know because it crashed into the water and they were saying that she wasn't in her seat. So I don't know if all these bodies were recovered in their seats. And I know it's morbid to think about, but I would think that if on impact, seats would be everywhere, people would be everywhere, but some kind of way, to fit the narrative of the book, they didn't have her accounted for in that seat. And they even said she could have been up at the time or, her seatbelt could have come loose and all that stuff. But at that point, her husband was like, I need to know for sure. Especially after because he did get the package and he knew that she was trying to leave him. So he wanted to make sure that she had perished on that flight. So, you have that piece of it going as well, because as we're getting Eva's story in the past and how she got into her predicament, Claire's still in the present, navigating through Eva's life. She's in her apartment. She's running across people that she may have known. But the only thing that sucked for Claire, who had, this big plan with new ID, new money, new credit card, she was basically broke. She only had money. I think Eva may have slipped her some money when they were at the airport. But, you know, she's like having to figure out, okay, how am I going to make this happen? Like, I don't have anything, you know. She ends up meeting a couple of people and they kind of help her with work and that kind of stuff. But it was just like these two separate stories were happening in the book that you're just waiting for the culmination of how they crossed, you know, because we know that the result was they met at that airport. But how did Eva get there, and how is Claire gonna move beyond where she is? Okay, so I'm trying to think like how I can say this without saying it. But in the end, Claire couldn't keep running. Like, she just couldn't, because she was just too well known, and you know, it was just too close to home, and a bunch of other stuff, you know. And keep in mind, you know, the story is like told in present day, meaning like social media is a thing. So when people are videoing people at stuff, or there's incidents that happen and you happen to be a part of it, and now somebody saw you online, that kind of thing, you know, takes place. And before you know it, you know, the gig is up for Claire. So she has to make a decision as to how she's going to move forward, because she can't just go back to her husband like, oh, my bad, sorry. So she has to come up with some big elaborate thing that she does. And there's this other little mystery that's going on in the book as to what happened to her husband's first girlfriend. You know, he's been, you know, looked at before as a potential suspect of, you know, doing something to a woman. So having that as what is the word I want to use? Having that as some ammunition, you know, Claire's able to navigate her situation. Now, as far as Eva goes, I did not like Eva's fate. I will just say that. That's all I'm going to say about that. I did not like her fate. You know, when we got to the end of the book, I was totally hoping for something else. I think Claire pretty much got she got what she was looking for, I would like to say, in the end, but not so much for Eva. It was really an engaging story, and I liked that it was fast-paced, you know, and kept you. It wasn't even so much, maybe this is more how thrillers work, because it wasn't so much like mystery or whodunit type thing as it was just this fast-paced action of, are they going to get caught? What's going to happen to them? That type of thing. So that in itself, I guess, made it different than most of the books that I've read, that it kept me, you know, just from the time I started reading it until the time I stopped, and I finished it in one day. And if you are someone who likes fast-paced thrillers and it kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat, I can definitely see this playing out as a movie with high stakes, where you know, people are literally running for their lives, and maybe like someone almost catches them or almost gets them, and then they're able to get away. And then they decide to stop running, and how all of that plays out. If you have read The Last Flight, I would love to know your thoughts. And what did you think about the ending and Eva's fate? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video, and be sure to go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. And tell a friend. I'm sure they will enjoy the content just as much as you. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye.